Hello, welcome to today's video where we're going to cover the second edition Frostgrave changes to the Thaumaturge School of Magic. Okay. Well, there's quite a bit here. I believe looks like everything has been changed, except one of the spells, I think. So we're looking at. You'll have to look at your Thaumaturge a little differently than before. Let's start off. We're just going alphabetical order like we did before, and we're going to talk about Banish. Now, Banish, the casting value hasn't changed. It's still at 10. It's still line of sight. There's no range maximum here. Thing is, it still applies, or it still requires that will roll by the demon, and if they fail, they're essentially removed as a casualty, right? Well, they've changed it slightly. Now, because a major demon has been increased in will to 5+, and you can, of course, put there are other demons that are in there as a 5+ will. They split the demon setup into two. If the demon has a will save of +4, or stat of +4, and it fails its will test, then it's removed as a casualty. However, if it has a 5+ will stat or higher, not that it can be higher, but if you write your own creatures, if it has a 5+, it is not reduced to 0. Instead, it suffers damage equal to 3 times the amount it missed the will roll by. So it could still hurt it sufficiently to banish it, but it's not a guaranteed take it out, right? So it makes major demons a little more scary than they used to be. Overall, I don't think that's a bad change. Makes it a little bit more thrilling, I think. Blinding Light, I don't know how I feel about this one. Blinding Light has been the one spell I've hated ever since I started playing this, but I think my opinion is going to change because of some rule changes they made here in the game. So the only thing they changed to Blinding Light, it's casting value now went down to 8, so it's easier to cast. I think it was 10 before. Now, the reason I hated it before, and this is an important change, is that you used to be able to cut to or empower your spells so that you can increase that casting roll to the point where the target had absolutely no hope of saving it. And that's usually what happened to my wizards of all things. Just at the beginning of the game, first thing they'd be hit with a Blinding Light. The opponent's Thaumaturge, of course, would have a heal spell, and he'd be full health, so he'd cut as far as he needed, so that I could not, on any roll, period, I could not successfully break the spell. So my wizard was pretty much put out of commission, or the apprentice, sometimes both, for the entire game. Very not fun, right? Well, now the maximum you can increase the casting roll to is 18 when it comes to any will tests. So no matter what, there's a 2 in 20 chance, 10% chance, actually 3 because you have to tie, not just exceed. So 3 in 20 chance of actually breaking the spell, even if you had a 0 will. So I like this better. I don't think Blinding Light is nearly as overpowered as it was in the first edition. So nice change overall. I don't think I mind that it's easier to cast now. Alright, now, Circle of Protection. I like this. This is where they've actually, one of the things they've done to increase the lore of the Thaumaturge to match more like what we're used to thinking of. Now, this Circle of Protection doesn't just affect demons, it also affects undead. And that's big, because you get, think of all the undead that you can face that are really dangerous, like the Wraiths. Wraith Knights, some vampires. Those are undead that will not be able to get in to within that radius. Now, what's interesting is they've made a clarification. Demons and undead cannot be forced to step into that circle at all. So even if they're under control, so you have mind or demon control or control undead spell on a target, you can't force them in. They're still left. They have to stay 3 inches away from that magic user, which is really nice. Now, they can move all the way up to, and they'll stop at that 3-inch edge. They won't be able to get any closer. Now, the thing is, the circle protection is fixed in place, and it lasts the end of the game. Most of the time. There is now a roll at the end of each subsequent turn. On a 1, 2, or 3 on a d20, the circle vanishes. So even if you're standing in it, there's a chance that it'll evaporate. And it's at the end of the turn. So it could be that you're going to want to make sure you cast it the next activation you get, or those undead and demon are going to actually get to you. So, but because otherwise it is, in effect, it's fixed to a location, and it is in play until it goes away, or at the end of the game, you're now able to cancel this spell, which will allow you to cast it again. So if you happen to move on to a different part of the table, and you need your circle protection there, you can cancel the other one and then cast it here. So the canceling is, however, is at the end of any turn, so you don't need to spend an action. So if you've moved away and you've actually put a circle protection around a particular spot, you don't need it anymore, but you need it where you are, or near where you are, or one of your warband members is. You can at the end of the turn you cancel it. That way, the next activation you get, you can then cancel circle protection again, and boom, there you go. Now it is touch, so it's literally going to be around you. So of course, you can get within an inch or less of your one of your warband members, cast a circle. They're inside the circle. They're protected too. So pretty good. Now here's a spell they added. Again, to carry on that theme of the Thaumaturge, think old D&D clerics, destroy undead. So, now this is a casting value 10, completely new spell. It is line of sight, and there's no range maximum on it. The target undead creature has to take a will test against your target number, which is the casting value, casting roll you made. Now, if the undead creature fails the roll, and its current will is +2 or less, it's removed, it's reduced to 0 health and treated as a casualty. If the current will is +3 or higher, then again, just like the banish one, it takes 3 times the number of 3 times the damage equal to how much you missed the roll by, the will roll by. So again, you can easily take out an undead with that particular spell, but it will only attack one creature. So it's kind of like the turn undead spell from D&D, or destroy undead when you get high enough cleric. Alright, the spells hasn't changed at all. Heal is nice. They've made a change here. It's still casting value 8, which is very good, but now it has a line of sight stat and a range of 6. So now you don't have to be face contact anymore with the recipient of heal spell. You can just reach out and touch someone, so to speak, and that's actually a big benefit. Obviously, I mean, you can see why. But the one thing they did make a change is you cannot cast heal spell on undead or constructs. Neither of them will benefit from this. So, makes complete sense, right? They're not living, so no heal shouldn't work on them. I kind of wish they had made some sort of a heal kind of a spell for the for constructs, just for the enchanter school, but I don't know how that would work. I don't know if that would be good or not. Anyway, that's just me rambling. All right, now the next one, I'm gonna jump to the end real quick and talk about shield. Okay, because shield still gives you a +2 armor. However, remember, it cannot exceed. In this particular case, your armor cannot go above 14 as a result of this spell. So the best you can do with the shield spell on a knight is bring it to 14 if they were, because they started 13, right? So this is going to benefit more of your lower regular soldiers more than it will your heavily armored soldiers, right? And again, multiple castings have no effect. So that's really the only change. It's a limit to what the stat can be improved to. It's not the 15 of normal. It's the only +2, but only up to 14. 14 is the highest that you can bring it by virtue of this spell. So if it's already, if the target already has a 14 armor, this doesn't do any good. Okay, so remember, a knight with a magic shield or magic heavy armor is already at 14, so you can't do anything better on it. Can't increase them to 15. All right, now let's go through the next one. Now, this is neat. Miraculous Cure and Restore Life. We're going to talk about them both together because Restore Life has been completely removed. It's actually been replaced by an expanded role of Miraculous Cure. Miraculous Cure now does both things, both Restore Life and Miraculous Cure. So I'm actually going to read it to help you understand and how this thing plays out. But it is now it's a Thaumaturge 16 is the casting value. And I'm just curious, what was it before? That's something I do not remember. See, Miraculous Cure used to be 12, and Restore Life was 20. So now Miraculous Cure is 16. It actually went up 4, or if you think about it from the Restore Life perspective, down 4. So it's kind of an average of the two. And it can only cast out of game after a game. So, the Wizard is the only one that can cast this, not the Apprentice. The spell may be used several different ways, okay? Just like before, Miraculous Cure, you can cast it and it will remove all permanent injuries from one figure. So, that really isn't a change from before. Now, it also can be cast on a badly wounded figure, which is one that would miss the next game. So they can actually participate in the next game without penalty. And then finally, it can bring someone back from the dead. That's the key. That's the big one. That's the Restore Life version. However, here's the thing. The figure must have died in the game just played. And using the spell in this fashion incurs a -4 penalty. So now we're right back up to a casting value essentially of 20 to try to raise somebody from the dead. Okay. If successful, it's restored to life and may participate in the next game with no penalty. If Miraculous Cure is cast using a scroll, it can't be used to resurrect the dead. So that's a big difference, I think, from the other one. But that's a big caveat. Okay, since Restore Life is not something you can cast in this sense from a scroll. So you're only going to be able to essentially avoid badly damaged or badly wounded and permanent injuries. So just thinking, writing a scroll so you can have. If that way you've got some scrolls of Miraculous Cure hanging around your vault, that might be useful. I never thought of doing that before. Okay, so anyway, so that's the big change for the way they did Miraculous Cure. They merged Restore Life into it. Now you only need one spell slot. You don't need to waste a level learning Restore Life and waste another one learning Miraculous Cure. You just do one, you get both. But in both cases, Miraculous Cure now is harder to cast by 4 points. It goes from 12 to 16. And essentially when you're using it as a Restore Life, it's the same as before. It's still a 20 to cast. Of course, you can improve it. And that's another good advantage. You improve this one spell, you get a benefit to both. So before you'd have to improve either Restore Life or Miraculous Cure. So I kind of like the fact they merged it together. Alright, so that covers the Thaumaturge spell, School Magic, and the changes they made. So hopefully it was useful, enlightening. Please comment below, share your perspective, opinions, whether you like it or not, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.